Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So a major disaster has hit our country, America, this morning. What happened was the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore was hit by a container ship. You know those big ships with hundreds of shipping containers the size of semi trucks? And what I'm going to do in this video is give you a rundown of what happened. There's some people's theories already on what caused this, and I also want to let you know how the people were affected, if there was any lives lost, that type of thing. So let's go over to Andrew Tate's Twitter, his X account, and have a look at what he has to say about what's going on. He posted, "This ship was cyber attacked. Lights go off and it deliberately steers towards the bridge supports. Foreign agents of the USA attack digital infrastructures. Nothing is safe. Black Swan event imminent." Now, I don't know about that, but let's watch the video and let's see what we can come up with. There's two videos. This one's a little bit grainier. It's zoomed in, but it actually shows the event from, it starts earlier. So let's take a look. One thing that I noticed is it has power, and it appears that it's going towards, actually, let me pause. It appears, can you see my mouse? It appears that it's going towards this little gap on the right side of the screen. When you zoom out, there's like 3 sections that are longer here, and this first one where the ship is not the actual gap that it's trying to go through, in my opinion. I'm not a ship captain. Matter of fact, I get seasick really easily, so I don't spend much time on the ocean or on big ships or anything like that as it is, but I have spent some time on some pontoon boats and bass boats. He's going towards this gap here on the right side of the screen that's being cut off by the edge of the video. Let's go back. It has power, and the power goes out. You got current going through here. You have wind, all those things. Then you also have the inertia from the direction that the ship was already going. The power comes back on, and immediately when the power comes back on, you can see that it steers. Now, I know they need to straighten themselves out to go through that gap properly. You don't want to go through it at a diagonal. They want to go through it as parallel to these support columns and as far away from these support columns as possible. As that power comes back on, they start aiming at the pillar, right? Now, I get it. There's drift involved, and a lot of times you'll aim at something and drift right past it. And that's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that I don't know, and I won't say that this was done deliberately or, was it a cyber attack, which a lot of people are saying. I do find it curious that once that power comes back on, it turns right rather swiftly. Now, I don't know if they were thinking, the power's back on, we're all good, let's go through the bridge. I probably would have put it in reverse. When the power goes out and we're clear on the one side of the bridge, you might have put it in reverse and just tried to avoid. Let's go back. The power goes back on. They start aiming right at this pillar, and then the power will go back out. And you can see there's a lot of black smoke. So the engines are going, the engines are cranking. The power goes back out, and it's still redirecting towards this pillar. Now, this would have been the most opportune time, in my opinion, to put this boat in neutral or slam it in reverse while that power was out, because that was ultimately the second time the power was out, had gone out, and you just don't know if it'll happen a third or fourth time. And there's lives at stake if they hit this column, so he should, I would think, and people are saying diversity hires and this and that potentially. From what I understand, this ship was actually out of another country, so, they weren't even trained by us or anything like that. That's a different standard and whatnot, but they don't let people just steer these ships around, especially in the ports, with little or no experience. You know what I mean? In my opinion, you would think while they're steering around these things where lives and hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars in infrastructure, and then more than that, as far as how it's affected, after this is one of the main highways around Baltimore that now is just completely, detour. You got to either go the other way around, which I'm not familiar 100% with their highway system, or you got to continue going straight through Baltimore. And deliveries, A lot of things like that aren't going to hit their deadlines when they're supposed to show up. So it affects us all essentially. And then also this port. I know that they dig these ports pretty deep. So maybe this, bridge just sank all the way to the bottom and it's out of the way. But I would assume there's probably some cleanup involved before they can just send the next cargo ship through as well. I'm going to start this little video over here so we can watch it from the beginning and see what happened. But you see it coming in, the power's on, the power goes off. Once the power comes back on, you'll see the lights come back on. You'll see it steer towards this pillar. Power's on. It immediately starts steering, and you can see that the engines come on, the black smoke there. They really put it in gear to try to turn the boat, and then off and back on, and inevitably it gets hit. I don't know why it's going so slow. It seems like, just takes a couple seconds, and that entire bridge expanse right there comes down. You can see these cars traveling across it. These people can probably see the bridge collapse in their rearview mirror, and all the lights on the bridge go dark and stuff like that if they were watching. But when the bridge goes into the pillar, I'll skip it forward, it just so happens you don't see any cars going across. So maybe they were blasting a horn and making their distress call known, but thankfully there wasn't a car just going across right there that ended up in the water. Okay, so now that we've seen that, I'll show you this other video. It's zoomed out. The ship is already basically going straight into the pillar, but you see more of the bridge. You see the expanse. This is the center of the bridge that is designed for big ships to go under. If it were a drawbridge, this would be the part that opens. But there you have it. You see it. All three of these big sections come down. And it looks like they don't sink straight to the bottom, It gives you just a little bit of a view there. Let me remove myself from the corner. You can see down here on the bottom right where the red dot is. That's where the Francis Scott Key Bridge is tagged. And then the bridge goes down to the left over here past this Fort Carroll sign. Right in the center of this bridge is where it went down. Got another angle right here where you can see it circled there. I'll go back. Okay, so then this is what it looks like this morning. I'll play this video as well. But the ship is, still there. Obviously, you'd think it would still be there, and it hasn't sunk, which is a good thing. The ABC News reports that the cargo ship lost propulsion as it was leaving the port. The crew on board notified officials that they had lost control of the vessel, and this person's opinion is that the ship was hacked. Let's go ahead and play this video too. That's what it looks like this morning. And like I said, you get a better view of the entirety of the bridge here. You can see this part is still standing on the far right and on the far left. Well, you can't see that part on the far left now, but right there you can see this is just the center part where the big ships go in and out. But still, pretty devastating. Why don't they have some type of protection around these pillars? It seems like there's a wall built around this little island here on the top left of the picture. I'm not sure what that is, but that thing looks like it's kind of protected. You think you'd want to protect this bridge? Maybe it's just too expensive. I don't know. The way the government officials are nowadays, they like to send our money over to Ukraine rather than to fix our infrastructure, but who knows? Maybe it's on their to-do list. We looked at all these. Let's go over here. Let's just run through kind of what happened, right? There's a lot of updates in here. So it looks like 2 people were pulled out of the waters underneath the bridge, 1 in serious condition. Fire officials have declared the collapse a developing mass casualty event. Horrifying footage shows the bridge toppling after the Dolly, a Singapore-based ship headed to Sri Lanka, struck one of the bridge's supports around 1:40 a.m. Did quite a bit of damage there. Their fire chief said, "Our sonar has detected the presence of vehicles submerged in the water. I don't have a count of that yet. Emergency responders are using sonar, drones, and infrared technology to search for people and vehicles that have fallen from the bridge into the Patapsco River." The P is probably silent. The vessel notified Maryland Department of Transportation that they had lost control of the vessel and an collision with the bridge was possible, the report said. The vessel struck the bridge, causing a complete collapse. The flight restrictions have been put in place around the bridge in Baltimore following the bridge's collapse on Tuesday, the Federal Aviation Administration said. No pilots are allowed to operate an aircraft within the affected area, which spans about 5 nautical miles, officials said. Drone pilots, the FAA has flight restrictions in place, so don't fly your drones over this area. Apparently, this vessel was involved in an accident in Belgium in 2016. So according to the Maritime Incident Archive shipwreck log, the Dolly was attempting to leave Germany when its bow reportedly swung around, causing the stern to scrape the side of the quay and damaging several meters of the hull. Officials in Singapore, where the ship is from, said there were 22 crew members aboard the Dolly at the time of the fiery crash. It might be time to cut these dudes off from going in and out of ports. Look at this picture right here. You see these, I was wondering what these were. These circles above the bridge, they're holding up power lines. And they definitely look like they have a wall built around them to protect them. Something that they should definitely have built around these pillars holding up the bridge. Interesting. Some photos. The Dolly container ship that crashed into the major bridge in Baltimore early Tuesday had been inspected 27 times since it was built in 2015 and had 2 reported deficiencies, records show. Chilean authorities gave the Dolly a deficiency for propulsion and auxiliary machinery, gauges, thermometers, etc. in June 2023, according to records from the Electronic Quality Shipping Information System. The ship was also given a deficiency for structural conditions, described as hull damage impairing seaworthiness, following a 2016 collision, that we just talked about. The local pilot had taken control of the ship when it crashed. Okay, so that was something that I was wondering and about to suggest, that maybe we have local pilots take these ships in and out of the ports, but it looks like that was already the case, or maybe he had grabbed the controls at the last second. Let's read some more about that. The company operating the container ship that crashed into the major bridge in Baltimore Tuesday morning says pilots were on the bridge trying to steer the vessel moments before it collided with the structure. The Singapore-based Synergy Maritime Group said the vessel had deployed its own emergency procedure and crews were checking for casualties in the water. All 22 members of the crew were safe, so nobody on the boat was hurt. 2 pilots who are active or former captains were on the bridge trying to steer the ship through the crossing before it collided with the bridge's supports around 1:30 a.m. The pilots take over the ship because they know the port's tight spots like the back of their hands. Okay, so they were definitely the right ship captains or pilots on board, but what can they do when the power goes out, right? What can you do? Then we'll factor in the possibility that there was some type of cyber attack that maybe limited their abilities to steer and throttle up the ship, put it in reverse, that type of things. And so the preliminary investigations point to the bridge crash being an accident, according to the governor. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack, Moore said during a press conference. Moore added, Maryland will get through this because that is the Maryland spirit. Well, you have Americans' support behind you here, so you got that as well. 6 are unaccounted for. 6 people are unaccounted for. 2 of 8 people on the Francis Scott Key Bridge at the time of the collapse Tuesday morning have been accounted for, Maritime Transportation Secretary Paul Weidfeld said during a news conference. And I believe those search attempts are still underway. Bridge workers halted traffic, saving lots of lives, Maryland governor says. Okay, so there was some type of alert like I wondered about. Maryland Governor Wes Moore said the ship issued a mayday loss of power and that workers on the bridge halted traffic right before impact. They saved lots of lives, Moore said in a mid-morning press conference. Good job for those guys. I assume, they're working on the bridge and they probably heard the ship start honking or doing something, and they made the determined to stop the traffic. So great job. They did. They saved some people's lives. I'm sure they're getting some thank you letters from some families today. The Dolly cargo ship issued a mayday loss of power, alerting Maryland officials to stop cars. I don't know why this video is playing Arkansas Cowboy, but it won't even pause. So between when the mayday was issued and the bridge's collapse, officials were able to begin to stop the flow of traffic, so no more cars were able to get onto the bridge before it toppled. Those people are heroes. They saved lives last night, he added. So good job by the crew for being alert enough to send out that mayday and not be, oh, we'll get through this. It's just a power outage, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? They definitely saved some lives there, combined with those construction workers. And it looks like 5 vehicles are located underwater. 3 passenger vehicles, a cement truck, and another vehicle have been located in the water using infrared and sonar technology. Wallace told the outlet that up to 8 dive teams are conducting search and rescue operations and that operating in a space of uncertainty, it just makes things that much more difficult. Add darkness to it, it becomes dangerous, of course, and it is very dangerous for those guys, so we'll keep them in our prayers as they continue to search for these folks. And then we have another update here. The 6 missing people are construction workers, officials say. The 6 missing people in the bridge collapse are construction workers who were repairing the span when it was struck by the cargo ship. The construction workers were repairing potholes on the Francis Scott Key Bridge overnight when the Dolly cargo ship rammed into the bridge's supports. Maryland Transportation said 8 people were on top of the bridge at the time of the collision, which instantly caused the bridge to topple. 2 people were rescued from the frigid 47-degree water, with 1 in the hospital in serious condition. And that's quite the fall, not to mention the cold water. Hopefully those folks are they managed to cling on to some metal there or something like that, and they're above the water and they're dry, just awaiting rescue. I don't know. It's not a good situation. So right now it's pretty much just a search and rescue mission. I'm sure there's a little bit of investigation going on as far as what happened and whatnot, but first things first, let's try to rescue all the people who are fighting for their lives right now. Hopefully everybody is saved. I haven't seen any reports of any confirmed deaths yet, which is a good thing. But this is huge, and it's not good for our country. Another grain of sand on the heap. And what do you guys think? Do you believe that it was a cyber attack? There's a lot that we'll find out in the next coming days as interviews with the captains or the pilots. I always thought they're called captains, but they were calling them pilots in the story, so maybe both. But there'll be interviews, there'll be some more information that comes out, and they might, in their investigation of the ship, find the problem, and they might not. I don't know. It's all just yet to be seen. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and just check out. Hope you guys liked this one. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.